That's it. Who's trying to grab?
I am all about calling out politicians when they are wrong. I am all about calling out politicians when they are full of crap. However, guys, this right here is not the way to do it. I'm not like everybody else. What's up, guys? Gear issue 33, and it has been a while. Now, guys, let me go ahead and explain my absence. I've been out the past 7 days because YouTube decided to lay a strike on this channel and, of course, the John Claymore channel, both. There will be a video out on Friday kind of detailing the exact, let's just say the actual nuance of that. It's going to be a relatively lengthy video. It's going to be posted on both channels. This channel right here, Gear Issue 33, and of course my main channel, John Claymore. Of course, you guys, this is more my military-driven channel. But we got to talk about this because there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things. Now, guys, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of Alex Stein. Alex Stein is a comedian in the state of Texas. He claims to be anti-globalist. He claims to be America first, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And some of the content he puts out is actually funny. Like, for example, when he called out AOC a while back, that was actually kind of funny. And he's had this ongoing beef with Dan Crenshaw. Now, guys, as most of you know, I'm not a fan of Dan Crenshaw. Never have been a fan of Dan Crenshaw because Dan, of course, is the forebearer of the TAPS Act. I would like to have him primaried out, obviously, to people of his district. They've not caught on to this yet, but maybe they will. I also believe he's trying to slicker his way into a Senate seat in 2024 or 2026. So make sure you guys go on the lookout for that. Last thing we need is Dan Crenshaw in the United States Senate. And of course, many people think that he's actually a globalist and he continues to vote to send money to Ukraine. But here's the thing, though. There is one thing that I'll never take away from Dan, okay? And the thing that I will never take away from Dan is the fact that he is, in fact, a Navy SEAL. I mean, you may be wary of his record or whatnot. Cool, good to go. I mean, you guys could be wary of my record. I'm just a guy who did 4 years in the United States Marine Corps. But like I said before, one thing that I'll never, ever do is attack him over his veteran status. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this video up is, like I said before, there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things. So this is how this video is going to go. I'm going to play the first clip. You guys are going to see the first clip. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to play the montage of the second clip that Alex Stein released, and then we're going to talk about that, and then we're also going to talk about weapons of mass destruction because there's a lot of, let's just say, confusion out there, and let's just say a general lack of knowledge on the subject. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be reading an article from Yahoo News to kind of clamp down the whole narrative. So make sure you guys stick around. It's going to be a bit of a lengthy video. With that right there being said, let's go ahead and get into this.
Only, I've run into the man, the one, the only, Dan Crenshaw, I Patch McCain. But Dan, why are you retweeting Dave Portnoy saying he wants me to fail? F me. Why'd you retweet all that? I'm going to put it in the video, but why'd you retweet all that?
What do you think, Alex?
I know, but why don't you like me? We're both from Texas. I can help you out. You're just not America first. You're a globalist. You're giving more money to Ukraine.
You assaulted a 65-year-old woman.
I didn't touch. You're such a liar. We have it on tape. See, this guy's still lying. I bet McCain's out here still lying. You're so full of it, dude. That's why you're going to lose, dude. I know you don't know. You don't think that. It's going to happen, guys. This guy's a traitor.
Are you an adult?
You're a globalist. Yeah, I'm an adult calling you out. You lost your eye for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, and you don't even call it out. Weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist.
As I said, guys, there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things. If you want to call it Dan Crenshaw, great. I'll be right there with you calling him out. However, I'll not be attacking his veteran status, which, by the way, he didn't really do in that actual exchange. But the thing is this, like I said before, there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way of doing things. And here's the deal. When you tell veterans that they went overseas and basically fought for nothing, they basically fought for no WMDs, the first thing that pops to my mind is, wow, that right there is kind of a jerk take from a guy who wouldn't pick up a rifle and probably doesn't even do his own screwing, number one. Number two, does this idiot even know what weapons of mass destruction are? Does this idiot even know that weapons of mass destruction was the classification of nuclear weapons post the Iraq invasion? You see, guys, they used to be called nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. As a matter of fact, the United States Army, the United States Marine Corps, and I think the Navy and the Air Force still have NBC units, meaning they still have actual people who train people to be, let's just say, trained for a nuclear, biological, and chemical attack. You see, nuclear weapons are those things that drop out of the sky, they blow things up, they blow up a bunch of crap, and they leave a lot of fallout. Biological weapons, on the other hand, are things that are launched at targets designed to create diseases and kill people off that way there. If you do not believe me that a biological weapon cannot be dangerous, then maybe you should ask some of the survivors from the 1995 Tokyo subway attack. Don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description. And there are also other attacks that involve biological and chemical weapons. They are just as bad, if not deadlier. As a matter of fact, there was this actual attack that occurred back in 2020. I can't actually say it on YouTube or else I will actually get knocked again and possibly get another strike. But I'm pretty sure you guys are kind of picking up on where I'm going with. That was a bioweapon, okay? Let's just go ahead and call it what it is without actually mentioning a country name or the actual, I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Fact of the matter is that nuclear, biological, chemical weapons, that designation was changed to weapons of mass destruction. And also one more thing, and Alex Stein obviously drank the Kool-Aid. He doesn't seem to realize this. He claims he never drank it, but obviously he did, is that that's one great way of actually manipulating a populace. Let me explain my point. If you say weapons of mass destruction, what is your first thought? Your first thought is what? Nuclear. Those things that blow up hundreds of thousands of millions of people. Those things that you saw like in the movie The Sum of All Fears. Fat Man, the little boy. That type of thing right there. That right there is called a weapon of mass destruction, a nuclear weapon. Correct? So you make people think that these weapons of mass destruction are actually nuclear, when in reality the designation was changed a few years prior, and biological and chemical weapons are just as much, if not deadlier in some cases, than these actual nukes themselves. I know some people may come across this video, probably some leftoids or whatnot. Some people who are very, very anti-war. By the way, to the anti-war crowd, who the hell are you going to call if the shit hits the fan? I just want to know. I mean, who the hell are you going to call? The vast majority of these people who claim they would pick up actual weapons and fight back and against an invader, most of these people are full of crap. Most of these people wouldn't even pick up a freaking rifle and actually stand a post. Okay, so I don't want to hear that crap. Now, guys, with that right there being said, I know it's a lengthy video. Let's go ahead and roll on to the next round of clips.
I'm so much bigger than you. You're just a little sad little boy.
You know what I mean?
I'm the little one. This is, yeah, imagine me calling you out because you're a globalist. Oh, I got a job. I work for the Blaze. I make a lot of money. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, Dan. Yeah, I make a lot of money. Yeah, I'm a loser.
Warrior Project. This is the guy who tells veterans that their service.
Yeah, because there's a weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. So I'm anti-war.
Yeah. Served for
I'm anti-war because I don't believe. Did you guys find any weapons of mass destruction?
As a matter of fact, we did.
Oh, where was? Oh, what weapons of mass destruction? This guy.
You're actually going to go down this route, Alex.
Yeah, because we don't have any weapons of mass destruction.
You're looking like a fool right now.
I'm
you're telling
you're
veterans,
the one that's giving more money to Ukraine.
We
have a homelessness. We have so many issues here in America. Who cares more about Ukraine? Yeah, it was. You guys' service was wasted for globalists and bankers.
You are the modern day version.
Oh, I'm the modern day version. You worry more about Ukraine than our border. You are the
My instant reaction is that to the guys at the Wounded Warrior Project, the veterans there, I'm actually happy that you guys did the right thing and walked away from this guy. Okay, like I said before, I don't have an issue with Alex Stein, but I do have an issue with him now because now you're just being a good old-fashioned dumbass, bro, and this bit's getting kind of old. I understand you got beef with Dan Crenshaw. I don't like him either, but this is not the way you go about doing things. It's a professional way of doing things, and this right here is not the way of doing it. I understand you're trying to call him out, but then you start going out there telling veterans that their sacrifice was for nothing. You're starting to sound like a good old-fashioned liberal wuss. You're starting to sound like somebody from the anti-America crowd. It's kind of funny that you're doing that, especially seeing how you claim to be America First. Now, a lot of these America First people are actually grifters. I'm not saying that Stein is. Also, to go on top of that, I'm not saying that he's a liberal douche, but damn it if he does not come off like one in this instance. And something else too that's got to be said, and guys, you know me, I am not a fan of the war in Ukraine. I'm not a fan of Putin or anything, and I'm definitely not a fan of sending any money there that quite frankly don't need to be sent. I'm okay with arming them, yes, and it requires some money. I don't want to see an absorbent amount go because I think we need to be taking care of our own interests here, not to mention the fact that Ukraine is not a NATO ally. But the thing is this right here. We haven't sent $80 billion yet. I know it doesn't seem doesn't seem like a big deal, but the figures are closer to between like 3.3 million per month. It's closer somewhere right around 40 billion total to 50, okay? That's still a lot of money, but at the same time though, Alex, you're just looking like a good old-fashioned dumbass. And worst of all, you're making Red Flag Dan, Mr. Crenshaw, you're making him look good while at the same time making everybody else around you see that you're really just, you're coming off like an anti-American Vietnam protesting wuss or Hanoi Jane.
You used to be a comedian,
Is there an invasion on our border right now?
You used to be a comedian.
Is there an invasion on our border right now?
Maybe you should go back to that,
I still am a comedian. Is there an invasion on our border?
You're not very good at comedy.
Will you admit that there's an invasion on our border?
There's an invasion on our border.
Yeah, but you won't do anything about it. But why do you give $80 billion to Ukraine? Why do you give $80 billion to Ukraine?
I think you're getting the numbers wrong there, buddy.
Oh, what are we at, $100 billion now?
No, it's not even close.
What are we up to now, Dan? And they even say none of those weapons even go to the front lines. So why don't you start caring about America?
Actually, they do.
You don't care about America at all, Dan. You're a globalist, you're a traitor, you're a dwarf. There's Dan Crenshaw. Come on. Come on,
The
dude.
modern day version of the people.
Oh, I'm a piece of shit. You're the one that's a globalist. You're killing young children for no reason.
Now, before we go any further, there is one thing that Stein is absolutely 100% correct about, and it is the invasion on our border. Now, guys, with that right there being said, even with all the globalism, even with, let's just say, even with the red flag votes, even with all the stuff that Crenshaw is kind of like a little bit clandestine about, that quite frankly he never gets called out about, this isn't actually the way to go about things. And I'll probably say this again in the video, but you actually made him look credible. You see, Stein, I want you to go back and I want you to think about something. Think about all those Vietnam veterans. And by the way, I kind of got to agree with Dan here. Go back and actually ask those Vietnam veterans who actually got off the plane. Go out there and ask them how they were received when they came home. They got spit on. In some cases, they had dog feces thrown out. They were protested heavily. And when you're standing right there in front of representatives from the Wounded Warrior Project, who I'm guessing are veterans themselves, because a lot of veterans work for that organization, you guys can leave your thoughts about the organization in the comments section. I donate to them at least once a month. I've actually an actual annual member. I donate like 30 or 40 bucks, something like $35 to be exact. My bad. Yeah, this is not exactly what we call a good look. If anything, you're starting to look a little bit like Hanoi frickin' Jane. Stein, none of us like Crenshaw, but dude, you're being an absolute frickin' dumbass about this. If anything, you made frickin' Crenshaw look good just now, okay? This has got to be one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And quite frankly, guys, I'm starting to believe him and his boy Cassidy Campbell may just be good old-fashioned Democrat plants. And what I mean by that is operatives sent in there to try to get the conservative base to kind of fight amongst them. I mean, right now you got midterms going on, and Lindsey Graham decides to come up with a 15-week abortion ban to help Democrats out, because that's all they have is abortion and gay marriage. We've got to actually save this country, and we've got bigger fish to fry. And as I said before, I'm not a fan of Crenshaw. I've had to say this 4 or 5 times so that way you guys kind of understand that he does need to be called out. He needs to be primaried out. But at the same time, though, this is not the way you call somebody out. Also, something else, too, standing in front of those guys who I'm guessing are veterans themselves. They work for the Wounded Warrior Project, and they told you flat out, yeah, we did. As a matter of fact, he just kind of scoffed them off like they were nothing. Tells you that Alex Stein is an absolute freaking idiot, and he has not exactly got us in mind. Now, guys, you don't have to be pro-veteran or whatnot. You don't have to do that right there to get by with me. But when you basically gaff off what other veterans are saying, and of course, Crenshaw took a swipe at him. Now, like I said, I'm not a fan of Crenshaw, but I'm not going to lie, but I got to be honest with you guys. I probably would have gone a step further. I probably would have smashed him in the face. YouTube, not advocating for violence. I'm just saying that Alex Stein is a total freaking tard and a total freaking dumbass. And all these people out here like Cassandra McDonald, formerly Cassandra Fairbanks, saying he's a national treasure, you people have lost your freaking minds. This guy right here is an absolute freaking moron. And you know what? If somebody calls me a bootlicker in the comment section of this, I really and truly don't care. Because Stein, you just proved what the hell a lot of us have been suspecting for a while. You're giving us all the evidence we need that you're actually a Democrat plant and you're actually not doing anything to actually help us out. Yes, Crenshaw has got to go. But don't go out there and humiliate yourself like that right there. You got people in the comment section of his actual tweet, his actual video, saying this bit's starting to get old, because guess what? The bit is getting freaking old. It's also, quite frankly, disrespectful. Now, and look, you can piss on Dan Crenshaw all you want, but you basically going there and basically telling us that we fought for nothing is doing nothing more than rubbing salt in our wounds, especially after a lot of us came home with the photographic evidence and the actual proof that, guess what? Biological and chemical weapons at the very, very minimal were actually in that country. Now, guys, with that right there being said, let's go ahead and clamp down this narrative just a little bit more. Let's go ahead and go to the article. What's up, guys? Now, here's the deal. This right here is a Yahoo News article that I came across earlier today. Now, it's kind of a coincidence because I've been saying this for a while, that weapons of mass destruction, maybe not nuclear, were actually found in Iraq. Now, think about it this way here. If you find canisters, okay, if you find actual pure raw canisters, like, I know the lighting looks kind of bad right quick, but bear with me just for a second, guys. The canisters look like, let's just say, it doesn't exactly look kind of refined, I guess you might want to say, but think about it this way here. If you disassemble a gun, okay, if you disassemble like a 1911 or any type of pistol, or any type of rifle, it's suddenly not what we would consider to be deadly. So obviously these things not put inside the gun tubes or put inside the actual vehicles that would actually be used to explode these devices or fire them off, obviously they do not look dangerous. The way I've always kind of thought about it is one way of actually explaining it to people. But let's be honest, some people out there don't listen. They automatically assumed that because the media said there were no weapons of mass destruction, that there were none there. But as I detailed kind of in the previous section of this video, yes, weapons of mass destruction does not have to be nuclear. Like I said before, nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons was actually the designation before it became WMDs. I want to say it was our media, or it may have even been the Defense Department that actually changed it. But WMDs did not come up, at least as far as my memory is concerned, like 2002 or 2003. Don't worry, we'll be doing a follow-up video this right here a little bit later on down the road, where we're going to get a little bit more detail. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, this is a Yahoo News article. Why are you trusting Yahoo News? Well, Yahoo News actually had a pretty good source on this one, and I double-checked the source about 3 separate times. And, of course, there are other articles, and don't worry, I'll be leaving them in the description box as well. Now, also one more thing, too. The guy who originally claimed he debunked it all, he died back in 2014. Now, that article will be left in the comment section as well, and you guys can kind of make it up on. You guys can kind of like, I guess you guys can make up your own minds on that one. But I'm just going to give you my 2 cents here that Alex Stein is, in fact, a dumbass who was being a dumbass. And the only thing he actually did was make the eye patch guy look good here. But let's go ahead and go through this. U.S. troops found nearly 5,000 abandoned chemical weapons in Iraq from 2004 to 2011 via one report. Now, granted, the stuff came from Jared Taylor, but we're going to read it. And I understand the Black Rifle Coffee guys, I'm not very good with those guys right at this moment in time. I've made some videos, let's just say I've made some content going after them. But at the same time, though, they are veterans, so I've got to defend them, at least in that regards there. We do share the brotherhood, at least on that level there, even though I don't agree with all the stuff that they have done as far as taking money from Democrat super PACs. Okay, American troops found 5,000 abandoned chemical weapons in Iraq in 2004-2011. Of course, the discoveries were kept secret by the U.S. government. The New York Times reports. Now, guys, really quick, the New York Times, but I can personally attest to this right here because guys were taking photos of these canisters and whatnot, and they were showing them around. A lot of them were Army Special Forces. Some Marines were doing it too. None of these guys I serve with directly, but you run into these people all the time, and you ask questions, and they show you. Now, granted, they're not going to put the stuff online, but the stuff did, in fact, exist. According to the 10,000-word, eight-part interactive report, The Secret Casualties of Iraq, Abandoned Chemical Weapons by C.J. Shivers, published on Papers website late Tuesday, at least 17 American service members and 7 Iraqi police officers were exposed to nerve or mustard gas agents in Iraq after 2003. This right here is true because our NBC training got intensified shortly before my first deployment, which was in 2004. On at least 6 occasions, American troops and American-trained Iraqi troops were wounded by abandoned munitions, but news of the encounters was neither shared nor publicly widely circulated amongst the troops. Now, that right there I kind of disagree with because obviously the troops did know that this stuff was in existence. Obviously, it was in each unit, and it was obviously passed around. So that right there I think is kind of like not entirely accurate there, but here we go. The victims told the Times. Others said not. And by the way, guys, you can read along with me. Others said they were told to be vague or deceptive about what they found. Nothing of significance is what I was ordered to say. Jared Lampier, a retired Army major, said the 2006 discovery of 2,400 nerve agent rockets as a former Republican Guard compound, the largest chemical weapons discovery of the war. The paper also published heavily redacted intelligence documents it obtained under the Freedom of Information Act. I will be putting that in the description box as well. I'll try to find it. Among the reasons for the secrecy, the discoveries of these chemical weapons did not support the government's invasion rationale. Shivers writes, after the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, W insisted that Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein was hiding an active weapons of mass destruction program in the defiance of international will at the world's risk. And the United Nations inspectors said they could not find evidence of these claims. By the way, guys, the secondary report said that Saddam Hussein lied about these weapons to make people think he had them to look tough. However, a lot of evidence suggested that these weapons were in fact moved to Syria. And of course, if you remember correctly, you had the attacks. Now, you've got the QAnon people, that's another video for the day, who claim it was all fake. I don't believe everything that comes from them people. Like I said, 65% of the conspiracy theory can be true, but that also leaves about 35% of bullcrap. We'll be doing more content on that there, especially on Claymore. The discovery the United Nations inspectors said they cannot find it. Okay, there you go. I'm sorry about that. The discovery of pre-Gulf War chemical weapons, most of them filthy, rusty, or corroded, did not fit the narrative. They needed something to say after September 11th that Saddam used chemical rounds. Lampier said, and all of this was from pre-1991 era. That's kind of weird too because guess what? Once again, as I said before, they were called NBC weapons then, not weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction goes ahead and kind of implants in the common person's mind that, guess what? These right here are pretty freaking bad, so they must be nuclear. Never mind the fact that you had a Tokyo subway attack back in 1995, and you've had several other biological and chemical weapons attacks since. The paper recounted a harrowing 2004 discovery in Baghdad by two explosives disposal technicians, Staff Sergeant James F. Burns and PFC Michael Yandel, were transporting what they thought were the remains of a makeshift bomb back to the base when they began experiencing symptoms of sarin gas exposure. Ooh, yeah. Sergeant Burns noticed a bitter smell and thought. He said later that it was rotten vegetables, and he felt the onset of a headache. He told Private Yandel, who was driving, that he did not feel right. Nauseated and disoriented, Private Yandel had quietly been struggling to drive. His vision was blurring. He had his head pounded. I feel like crap, he replied. Dread passed over Sergeant Barnes. Maybe he wondered aloud. They had picked up the actual nerve agent shell. The chemical shell Sergeant Burns, PFC Michael Yandel, found that day was on the highway of Baghdad's International Airport called Death Street. Remember that place? At the time, or I've heard about it, at the time, because of the frequent insurgent attacks, neither man remembers the drive's last minutes. At the base entrance, they did not clear the ammunition from their rifles and pistols, forgetting habits and rules. As they arrived at the building, Sergeant Burns was sure in the back of the truck the shell had leaked liquid. Illumination rounds he knew do not. I'm not going to try my language. I messed up. They put a gag order on us. The security detail, the clinic, everyone. Burns said, we were briefed to tell family members that we were exposed to the industrial chemicals because our case was classified top secret. Now, guys, before I go any further, before I end this article, let me just go ahead and tell you right quick. Those pictures were taken by several devil dogs. They were taken by several soldiers, and they were seen constantly at the unit. So this right does not surprise me. This right looks like one incident, possibly many, and I'm pretty sure over the next few years, more and more stuff is going to come out, especially seeing how a guy like Stein goes off the mainstream media and doesn't actually know any damn thing. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets basically slapped in the face with something here really soon, but let's face it, our media lies so much that nobody believes anything nowadays. The paper also reported that a result of the secrecy, military doctors were not prepared to treat the soldiers exposed to chemicals, preventing troops from receiving proper medical care and official recognition of their wounds. Rear Admiral John Kirby, spokesman for Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel, declined to address. Chuck Hagel was not exactly an honest guy. Declined to address specific incidents detailed in the Times investigation, but said that the military's healthcare system and works practices were under review. The VA military healthcare is always under review because they always find some very, very bad stuff. The Secretary believes all service members deserve the best medical and administrative support. Okay, yeah, we're not even with this. I say, news of abandoned weapons chemical site in Iraq as a U.S.-led coalition continues drone strikes in Islamic States. Okay, like I said, it's an old article, but yes, these type of photos, this type of evidence was kicked around a lot over that time frame. So if you hear more and more stories like this, and by the way, I would always suggest to guys to actually go speak to vets themselves to actually find out what the hell really and truly happened, especially veterans of that war. But then again, though, the media doesn't exactly allow us to talk. And with that there being said, let's go ahead and close down this video. So basically, Alex Stein is just a good old-fashioned moron. Guys, I'm probably going to have more takes out on this right now. I'm probably going to have a much, much more nuanced take on actual weapons of mass destruction and NBC weapons to kind of give you guys in a bit of a project. That video right there may be coming out in the future. Of course, I'm working on some other projects. And of course, the video that's going to kind of be explaining the quote-unquote strike in the actual state of this channel, the state of John Claymore, that video will also be out to go along with this. I'm going to try to go ahead and release them both tomorrow, which, by the way, is Thursday. Now, guys, with that there being said, GearShoe33, if you like the content, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. Definitely leave a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you guys later.